We've got some major reports coming out surrounding Brian Daboll, his job security, and potentially John Mara wanting to fire Brian Daboll. We're going to break all that down on today's show. But first, I want to hear from you, the real ones, the fans of this organization. Do you think the Giants should fire Brian Daboll? Type F for fire, type K for keep. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Shaun Morash of WFAN. He is a part of the Tiki Show on their radio station, and he is reporting that John Mara and the Giants front office wanted to fire Brian Daboll once he got off the plane following the fourth quarter collapse to the Denver Broncos. This is what he said, quote, "So I've done some poking around. I've done some digging around. And I've now gotten this from multiple people I trust, which is why I'm going to come here with it. The Giants were firing Brian Daboll off the plane after the collapse in Denver. He was fired. Ownership then got together. Cooler heads prevailed. And they decided not to fire Brian Daboll off the plane in Denver." Major report there from Shaun Morash. Shout out to him. Shout out to WFAN. He does great work there, and he's been awesome with Justin on Talking Giants. Go support them and him. And I think it's interesting that we are starting to see a picture painted right before our eyes, ladies and gentlemen. We got this report from the New York Post that they are not a package deal, and it could be a split ticket between Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. And now we are hearing that John Mara fired essentially Brian Daboll, but he was talked out of it. Shaun added this, quote, "But in the immediacy of that collapse, the decision to throw on 3rd and 5 like Tiki had crushed after that game, enough apparently was enough from people of importance with the Giants that he was fired off the plane in Denver, and then cooler heads have prevailed," which has now led to stories about the split ticket. Brian Daboll is as good as gone and was basically gone 2 weeks ago, if not for somebody stepping in within ownership and calming that down. He said, "I will tell you that the person making the decision to fire him was not Joe Schoen in that moment. But you could surmise from there, ... it was ownership." John Mara is fed up with the losses. And I believe John Mara is fed up with Brian Daboll. And I'm not saying that is right. I am just giving you my read on this situation. I've always felt that, especially since the New York Giants won that playoff game since then, that Mara has not been the biggest fan of Brian Daboll. I don't remember the exact words. I don't remember the exact reports. But I remember John Mara talking about how Brian Daboll needs to be more calm on the sideline. He's too much of a hothead. And he essentially, without saying it, said he needs to be more professional. But you know what, John? You don't have anybody to blame but yourself. You're the reason Brian Daboll is still employed. You're the reason that Joe Schoen is still employed. You had an easy out last year. Number 3 pick, 50+ million in cap space, 5 picks inside the top 100. And I go back to this quote from when you had that impromptu press conference at midfield at the Quest Diagnostics Center. You said, "I'm going to have to be in a better mood this time next year than I am right now." I believe this in life. If you are one more X away from anything, just do what you would do if that one more thing happened. Because if you are one step from the ledge, you're already off the ledge. You should have fired them last year, and you didn't. And you're now paying the price for it. I think it's clear, though, that John Mara is more of a Joe Schoen guy than a Brian Daboll guy at this point. And we're going to take a deep dive into that. But first, I want to give a huge shout out to our proud sponsor of today's show. That is Ridge. If you are looking for a brand new wallet, as Ridge just released their 2.0 wallet, listen up and go to ridge.com/chat Use that promo code chat, and you're going to get up to 40% off your order today. All that information will be clickable down in the comments and description. The Ridge 2.0 wallet, it is slimmer, it is sleeker, and it is lighter than the one before. Look, I used to have a really old wallet. It was beat up, it was tearing apart, it was thick, it was crusty, and it was disgusting. And when I would go to pay at a restaurant, a bar, I'd pull it out, I'd be a little bit embarrassed, but I no longer feel that way with Ridge. I feel good about my wallet. It fits in my pockets awesome. There's no bulge. And if I put it in my back pocket and I sit down, I don't get sharp pains in my back anymore. And this is a product that a lot of people are falling in love with. There is over 100,000 five-star reviews. There's also over 50 plus colors and styles to choose from. I also love the fact that you can put an AirTag attachment on your wallet so you never, ever lose it. For a limited time, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. Head to ridge.com to get up to 40% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com. Use the promo code chat for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After your purchase, they will ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them Chat Sports sent you. I want to say this. Look, I'm not saying that Shaun Morash is right, and I'm definitely not saying that Shaun Morash is wrong about what he is reporting. I'm just the messenger, but I tend to maybe believe in him, but people are allowed to feel how they feel. I'm just giving you guys the information. So I want to go to this. I think John Mara is more of a Joe Schoen guy at this point. I felt that way for the past couple of months, and I've really felt that way since John Mara said this following the 2024 season. At that impromptu press conference, he was asked, what makes you confident that this roster is better than it was 3 years ago when these two took over this team? John Mara said, quote, I'm not sure I am all that confident that it's much better. I think, though, with the draft class we just had, again, it's very unusual that you have 6 draftees, all of who you think are going to help us going forward. I thought that was a huge step. The free agents that we picked up between John Runyon, bringing in Brian Burns, I think those are going to help us going forward. I think once you solve the quarterback issue, I think a lot of these things will improve as well. John Mara bought the BS that Joe Schoen was selling. Look at the free agent in Brian Burns. Look at John Runyon. Look at our rookie class. They played more than anybody, Mr. Mara. Give me another year. They're going to be good. You go back to that 2024 class. Is it all that good? Tyler Newman doesn't look like a winner to me. Like, Darius Musow is no good. Theo Johnson can't catch the football. Yeah, Malik Neighbors is a stud. Congrats on hitting on the 6th overall pick. It's actually impressive considering you didn't hit on the 7th overall pick and you hit a single with the number 5 overall pick. You can tell that John Mara listened to Joe Schoen. He bought what he was selling. Joe Schoen, he's got a hell of a mouthpiece. He sold John Mara the BS. And if I had to guess, the reason that Brian Daboll was not fired after Joe Schoen was able to successfully sell John Mara the BS is he sold John Mara on giving Brian Daboll one more chance. John, look, Brian's one of the best quarterback minds I know. We need to draft a quarterback this offseason. Let's have Brian Daboll a part of that process. Look what he did with Josh Allen. Let him develop that guy. And John Mara bought that. And you know what? I don't think that's the worst idea and the worst thing he's done. He did get us Jackson Dart. Dabes did, not Joe Schoen. Because if Joe Schoen wanted Jackson Dart, why did he try to trade for Matthew Stafford? Why did he try to trade up for Cam Ward? Why was he only present at Colorado games and Colorado football practices? I say all that to say they both should go. I said that last year. I said that now. And I believe it even more so. I'll open up the comment section and ask you, though, what do you think John Mara should do? If what Mr. Shaun Morash is saying is true, Brian Daboll is walking the plank as we speak. But I think Joe Schoen should be attached to his back and be jumping off with him. But you can decide, fire Joe, fire Brian, or sweep the whole house out. Look, I think Joe Schoen deserves just as much blame, if not more, than Brian Daboll. They both need to go. at this point. Like, you don't win games. You don't develop talent. And talent leaves this building and reaches new heights. Both should have been gone last year. Everybody knew it. I knew it. Hopefully you knew it. And we're now seeing the price that the Giants have to pay for not doing it. John Mara knew it, but didn't trust his gut. And I don't blame him for not trusting his gut. But he knew it. He told you, if I feel this same way next year, there will be changes. Well, you should feel worse because you bought the BS. And now you're seeing the BS. Make sure you are following me on social media. If we get any breaking news, first place you'll hear about it is on my Twitter. I also post short form content about the Giants every day on IG. Hit me up.